The stock market started panicking. People stopped buying. And I'm going to read a quick explanation here. Fear broke in Wall Street and stock prices started dropping. By the time the fear got to Washington, it had become a full-blown panic. And once the panic got to the news media, it had become all-out hysteria. Everyday American consumers watching the hysteria play out on television with their 401ks and home values dropping. They wisely decided that this was not a good time to keep spending like a drunken congressman. When we stopped buying stuff at a breakneck speed, the economy slowed and businesses began hurting everywhere. Companies who were deeply in debt and cash poor began to die. A lot of businesses vanished almost overnight. People stopped buying washers and dryers, so the washer and dryer manufacturers started laying people off and unemployment rose. And this, of course, just made the cycle go around and again, forcing real estate and stock prices to go even lower. That's exactly what's happening today. February, in March, they declared that there was this pandemic, this invisible virus, and they predicted millions were going to die. Well, today, months later, we can see that the numbers are not as drastic as they said they would be. We can see that the virus is very comparable to the flu, that only people that have high risk, people that are very old or people that are very sick or people that are immune compromised are a high risk. But they shut down the economy. When they shut down the economy, now it's become a political game until the election in November. They want to keep everything shut down. Well, that shuts down the economy, unemployment, the government's printing money like crazy, which is going to create inflation. And maybe you are hurting because of it right now. We want you to become aware of this cycle, which took place because of greed. At a macro level, at a national level, at a company level, at a family level, at a personal finance level, the problem starts always because of pride. We think we're doing better than we really are, so we take high risks.
That sounds really bleak, Cesar.
So tell us about, speaking of that, I mean, let's think about, we have history to look at. The Great Depression, right? So after World War I, the roaring 20s were an awesome period of history. But then during the 30s started the Great Depression, and then World War II in the 40s. People that lived through the Great Depression and World War II, such as your grandparents, tell us about your grandma.
No,
Okay.
I mean, I know my grandma lived through the Depression, and she was very frugal. And she taught my mom, to be very frugal. And I didn't realize that, well, my grandparents were teachers, and so it wasn't like they made so much money, but they were very wise with their spending. And so when my grandmother, my grandfather died, and he was pretty, I think he was only just 60 or something when he died. Anyways, my grandmother lived alone for a long time, but she had the money, and she was able to start traveling. And you would think, because, grandma, I just remember her just saving. You save the tissue paper from a present, you just save things and you reuse things. But, all of a sudden she would be able to go on a trip, and she would go on this luxury trip because she had saved. But then she'd come back and she would live a very, careful, frugal life, and taught that to my mom. I remember growing up, you'd go to the store and you'd see something and be like, wow, that is so beautiful. You didn't just buy it. It was too expensive. So you said no, I think some people never have that. When I had friends who I found out later, like if they like something, they buy it. I'm like, wow, what is that like? Because I just grew up, you learn to say no. I remember my mom jokes that I said, well, there was a store I liked called Casual Corner. And I said, well, I'm going to marry someone who lets me buy whatever I want in Casual Corner.
You were 20 years old? No. How old were you when you said that?
No, I was probably 15 or something. I was in high school, and that's where I wanted to shop, but it was considered too expensive.
Yeah.
But I'm so glad that I learned to live within our means.
Yeah, and maybe we don't want you to think that, man, am I going to have to be miserable my whole life and never be able to buy anything and just make my own clothes? And no, but you're going to have to learn to say no to yourself. 80% of the problem is behavior and 20% is knowledge. Okay, so that's number one. There's a saying that Dave Ramsey has in his book that says, even a turkey can fly in a tornado, right? Tornado comes and you think, man, a turkey's already flying. No, it's because of a tornado. Warren Buffett said, when the tide goes down, everybody can see who's skinny dipping. So maybe you have had habits of really, your income is here, but you're living like here, and you're managing your debt, but you're living day to day, you're living week to week, you're living paycheck to paycheck. And when a tough financial situation comes, such as right now, when maybe they decrease your wages, or you lost your job, or your business suffered, all of a sudden you're in real trouble, because the wolf just blew your house because you were used to living at this level. So we want to help you identify how to change that. And the person that you need to talk to, number one, is the person you look at in the mirror every day.
Yeah, and I mean, it's all of us, you know, that's why we're looking at this book again, because we've seen areas where we got fat, you know, we weren't as concerned about some of the little decisions we were making.
Yeah, we were living in Mexico. You were talking about that, right?
Yeah.
It meant we didn't have any money. So we just said no. They wouldn't even give me a credit card when we got married. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't even an option. Right. But then we got here to the US, and we started applying some of the principles that we're going to share in the next few weeks with you, and they started working. But last week, I followed somebody I really respect. Ron Paul is a ex-presidential candidate, and he recommended some people that recommend investments, and I got on this webinar, and I follow a little bit of cryptocurrencies, and they were talking about, because of inflation, how the dollar is losing value, and cryptocurrencies are going to soar. So it will be good to invest, not a lot of money, but a little bit to play with, or maybe in precious metals, to silver or gold. And man, I pressed the button to buy the course.
Not almost, you pressed the button.
I pressed the button, but I almost bought it because my credit card declined it, because they look like an uncommon purchase. So they declined it. It was Saturday night. So Friday night.
I know, but it gave you another day, which is a principle in this book, right? Don't make decisions. Wait a day.
Yeah. So I waited the following day. We were able to talk. I was able to pray a little more. And I realized that I was too fat for that kind of workout. I realized that I didn't have the extra amount of money, few $1,000s for the course, few $1,000s to invest. Like, I'm going to put myself at risk. And that is the number one problem that Jim Collins, the author of the book, How the Mighty Fall, discusses. He says, the first stage of decline on any economy, on any company, on any family, on any individual economy is marked by pride and arrogance, mixed with a false notion of invincibility. Lead the mighty to take huge, ridiculous risks. In our case, that would be borrowing lots of money and not saving any, because my job is stable. I can afford the easy payments with my job. Did that happen to you? That is revealing that maybe you have built a house of cards, and the storm has come and they have tumbled down. Handling well your money well has to work in times of prosperity and in times of need. Mm-hmm. So you gonna say something?
No, I just think we can be so focused on the moment. You know, we think we're invincible. Just what you said. I mean, it's just saying the same thing, but it's just so easy to do when we're comfortable, when life is good. You know, we start trusting in ourselves and our situation. And I think if we have principles that last, principles that are in God's word, and we're acting on that, then that is firm. That's something we can trust. We can't go with just, how we feel today, or how our bank account looks today, or our job today, because those things don't last.
Change is going to be a challenge, okay? You're going to have to pay a price. But if you change some of the few things we're going to share with you in the next few weeks, you can make a significant change in your life. But the person that needs to change is the person in the mirror. I'm going to read you this other paragraph. Some of you are so immature that you're unwilling to delay pleasure for a great result. I will show you exactly how to get the result you want, so the price you pay will not be in vain. I don't want to walk across hot coals because it's fun. But if I can be shown how a short, painful walk will do away with a lifetime of worry, frustration, stress, and fear that being constantly broke brings me. Then bring on the hot coals. I don't know if you remember if you heard about the